We want information. 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 Who are you? The new number 2. Who is number 1? You are number 6. I am not a number. I am a free man. Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John and we are continuing with my countdown. There's only 2 more videos left. Today we're counting down from number 10 to number 6 of my top 50 albums that shaped my musical journey. But before I begin, if you haven't subscribed and you're new, please hit that subscribe button. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, a lot more, and different countdowns, and a lot more stuff like this. So I'm not wasting any more time, starting with number 10, which is Def Leppard's Hysteria. Now I chose this because when I turned 17 years old, it was 1988, and this album had just come out. And I used to drive back and forth to my high school, and I had this on cassette, and it was basically like a 20-minute drive there, a 20-minute drive back, and I think I had this in my cassette deck for like 3 months straight, and I listened to it just over and over again. And this is just one of those albums that I listened to so many times, but it has a lot of good songs on it. I mean, this was like one of the albums that kind of like springboarded me into becoming like a full like metalhead. There will be another one. It's going to be like very high on the list. This one, basically the first side, just all singles. You got Woman, Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and Armageddon It. But the other ones are the side 2. Gods of War, Don't Shoot Shotgun, and then you got Hysteria, and a couple others. I mean, this is a really solid album. It's long. It's an hour long. I know on the vinyl, like it might sound compressed because they tried to like squeeze everything onto one disc, and there's like more of a, I think there's like a 2-disc set. I know JC the Flip Side talks about this one a lot, so you can check his videos to get more info on that. But this is a really good, even though it's commercial, the songs are just very good. They're very memorable, and this is just a very important album for me because it was like one of the like heavier rock albums that kind of like just almost like got me started and almost like got me into like, later I started listening to heavier stuff. So that's what I'm trying to say. That's it. Coming in at number 9. This one's gonna be a little different, but Double Fantasy by John Lennon. I chose this one because I had this album when I was, I guess, 9 or 10 years old, and I used to go down to my basement, put it on the record player, and just play it over and over. Now this album, it's basically like a mixture of, it would be like one John Lennon song, then one Yoko Ono song, then a Lennon song, then an Ono song, and they kind of like interchange. Now the Yoko Ono songs I didn't really recognize as much. I think like when I was a kid, I remember I'd like put the record on and then I'd like take the needle and like move it to the next like Lennon song, or I would just like skip around, because the songs I listened to a lot were just like Starting Over. I probably like listened to that one like so many times. But then I would listen to I'm Losing You, and then I move on to Beautiful Boy. I'd flip it over. I listen to Watching the Wheels. Then I like skip a song. I listen to Woman, and then maybe that I'd probably like flip it back to side 1 and listen to Starting Over again. So I remember when I was a kid, I used to just like pick the songs I liked off of this record, and that's why this was just one of the first like rock albums that I just really enjoyed. I think I like the song Starting Over because it kind of like sounds a little bit like Elvis, and it kind of sounds a little bit like the Grease soundtrack. That was another record I was listening to a lot like at that time. So I guess that's why I really like that song. But this was just one of those albums that kept like skipping songs and moving from one to the other. Okay, coming in at number 8 is Iron Maiden with Number of the Beast. So for those of you who didn't recognize that little skit I did in the beginning of this video, that was the intro to a song called The Prisoner. But this is a really great album. I had this one of like, when I first like started getting into metal, like I bought this album, and then when I went away to college, like I used to like listen to this like over and over again in my dorm room, And this is like I would say like an almost perfect album. Like every song would be like a 10 out of 10, except for like maybe like Invaders, that could be like an 8 out of 10, and Gangland can be like an 8 out of 10. But the others are just awesome songs with Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, 22 Kashi Avenue, Run, The Number of the Beast, the title track, that's an awesome one. Run to the Hills is a really great song. And one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs of all time, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Such a great riff with like the bells and that melodic lead guitar playing. It gets slow, and then the chorus. I really love Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's probably like my favorite Iron Maiden album. So if you're somebody who doesn't really know this band very well, I recommend it as a good starting point, because I think this is a very like accessible album. Like it's heavy metal, but the songs, you know, they're kind of catchy. You know, they're kind of like a little more like easy listening. I think they're not really that complex. They're not like super heavy. It's not like super fast. So this is really a great album, and if you're not into Iron Maiden, it's a really good starting point. Coming in at number 7 is Black Sabbath with Paranoid, and this is another one. And now, you listen to this, it's hard to believe this came out in 1970. I mean, these songs are like super heavy. The ones, you know, I've heard like the song Paranoid a lot of times, so that's probably one, if I like heard it on the radio, I wouldn't really be interested. But you know, when I listen to this album, I listen all the way through. But War Pigs, I still like that. Planet Caravan is kind of strange, kind of like psychedelic, but I like that one. Iron Man, I was listening to this today, and you know, it's hard to believe that was like a really like heavy riff. Like the level of distortion in the chords they're playing, that's almost like Metallica level. I mean, and this is 1970. It's kind of hard to believe. But my two favorite songs on this album are the ones that people don't talk about. That would be Electric Funeral, which is just a really great riff. And my second favorite is Hand of Doom. These are just these great like Tony Iommi, like these like doomy riffs. And this album is just like so ahead of its time. I would even say like this is like the first like metal album. People always say their debut was like the first metal album, but this is like probably more of like, this one I think like took it up a notch. You know, there's a little more distortion, the riffs are a little heavier, you know. I would say like almost, probably I would say it's a perfect album, you know, considering that a lot of songs we have heard a lot, but this is one of those great albums. And the last one I'll do, number 6 is Megadeth, Rust in Peace. Now this is like the perfect like technical thrash album. I remember the first time I heard, actually I saw the music video for Holy Wars of Punishment Due. And that's such a great song because it's like a super fast, it's like a super technical riff. I bought a guitar magazine, like they had the transcription of the song, you know, I tried to learn it. It's like really hard to play because it's super technical. And the song is like in 2 parts. It's like they play the first part, then there's a breakdown. Then Marty Friedman does this like Middle Eastern riff, and it kind of goes into like the second part of the song. It's just really like chunky like riff. Like I really love that. And it's just like one of those feelings you get like listening to a song like Master of Puppets, you know, when it has that breakdown, gets heavy again, it just gives you that rush. So I got that from Holy Wars of Punishment Due. The second song is called Hangar 18. This is another one, very complex. You know, like they play, kind of slides up and down the guitar when he plays those riffs. And just basically this entire album, they have a really great lineup with Dave Mustaine, David Ellefson, Marty Friedman, and Nick Menza, I believe. And this is just really great album, and probably one of the best thrash metal albums of all time. You know, a lot of people have this at the top of their list, and this came out in 1990. Came out at a time I was like really into heavy metal, and you know, this was right before the grunge scene, maybe a couple months right before grunge hit. Super heavy, awesome album. So that is it. Comment below, let me know what you thought of these albums. I will continue. I'm finishing up. This is my last video is coming up tomorrow, hopefully. It'll be my top 5. There will be some obvious choices. Actually, no, there won't be that obvious. There will be kind of different choices. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.